My name is Rowland Jide Macaulay, and I'm an ordained clergy with the Metropolitan Community Church. I was born in England in 1965, and I studied law in England at Thames Valley University. I then went on to study theology for my master's degree at United Bible University in Nigeria. I was first ordained in 1998 by Soul Winners Christian Ministries. I then transferred my ordination in 2005 to the Metropolitan Community Church. I was born in England, like I said, but I am of Nigerian parentage. But what is really interesting about my life is that for so many years as an African Nigerian in particular, I struggled with my sexuality. I finally came out as gay in 1994 after I had a very troublesome relationship with a woman. But again, these are some of the things that I want to talk about, and I want to share these things because there are so many people in our culture that actually have a view that being gay, being African, and also being a Christian or a person of faith is an abomination. I have actually come full circle about these issues, and I continue to work towards reconciling my sexuality and my faith. And it's the same that I do for many people to help them understand their sexuality and how to deal with, of course, the prejudices and the bigotry around these issues. For so many years, growing up as a young person in Nigeria, I actually hide the fact that I have a same-sex attraction, and it created a lot of problem for me. But the problem was that I couldn't tell my family, I couldn't tell people in my faith communities, and it created a lot of psychological problem for me. In many cases, I was misunderstood. But growing up in a family of faith, and of course in the Christian community, it also posed its own challenge because all I heard or all I knew about as a young person is that the Bible condemns same-sex relationship. But today, I have also become a voice that is so liberal and brings understanding to these issues. And of course, there will be people who are listening to this video for the first time or hearing the fact that, here is an African, a gay man, and also a Christian of Nigerian parentage who is now very proud to be gay and also celebrating his Christian faith. To me, that is a victory because the victory did not come without a battle. It came with such a long battle. There were times when my family found out that I was gay that, it was quite chaotic. No one seemed to understand who I am. They didn't understand who I was. And of course, different members of my family, handled it very differently. My mother was the champion of all. She was, in fact, an absolute peacemaker. From the very first time that I told her that I was gay, she understood. The only thing she said in response is, "Why didn't you tell me?" And I felt very guilty that I didn't tell her my feelings. But nonetheless, she remains, a great mom and very loving mother. But of course, my father, who is also a very high-profile theologian in Nigeria, couldn't handle it at first. When he found out that I was gay in 2003, he was completely outraged. He was upset. He wrote me several letters saying that, I'm going to go to hell. I'm an abomination, a disgrace to the family. Of course, he asked me to change my ways and then, find a woman and remarry. But I knew that this was not for me. It was not possible or no longer obtainable because I'm not going to put another woman through what I did to my first wife. Of course, it took another 3 years, around about 2006, before my father was able to begin to actually give me an opportunity, to share with him my deep, deep understanding of who I am. And at this moment, he started to walk with me on the journey to reconcile, understand that his son, his loving toddler, his loving young son, and his loving mature son is still his son, even though he identifies publicly as a gay man. And that to me was the time that I believed that my father's journey to reconciliation began. Of course, before 2006, I had the opportunity, to serve in ministry as an ordained minister. And of course, after 2005 in particular, I decided that I want to go to Nigeria to start a ministry that is welcoming to gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and intersex people, and indeed any other members of the communities that are marginalized. So in 2006, we started the mission. But prior to 2006, just to let people understand that, we didn't just start the mission, overnight. We had an opportunity to carry out a feasibility studies in Nigeria between 1998 and 2004. We asked questions. We looked for gay people across the cities of Nigeria. We met with a number of people. We went to events, conferences, and we spoke to organizations, we spoke to professionals, we spoke to members of the gay community. And one question is that, where can we find a church that will welcome us? And this question was so paramount that we decided that, yes, we can start a church in Nigeria that will welcome everybody. On the 2nd of September 2006, we started House of Rainbow Metropolitan Community Church in Nigeria. 32 people showed up. I think that was an achievement that was unbeatable. In a country that is extremely hostile towards sexual minorities, we did it. And that was just the beginning. At the end of the first year of the ministry, we're already counting attendance of over 100 people at every meeting. When we have larger events where we would take out or hire, bigger venues, we are counting, people in attendance in excess of 300, 400 in a hostile city, in a hostile nation. For people that don't know Nigeria, Nigeria has a population of about 140 to 150 million people. Nigeria also have laws. In the southern part of Nigeria, it's actually punish gay people to 14 years of imprisonment with hard labor if convicted. In the northern part of Nigeria, it's criminalization under Sharia law and people will be executed. Fortunately, to date, no one has been convicted under these laws. But I think that the greatest punishment against gay people in Nigeria in particular is actually societal prejudice, discrimination, rejection, stigmatization, and so on and so forth. But I think that, gay people in Nigeria are extremely brave people. They're very bold and they've got strength to really carry on in that environment. But what I did and what I contributed to the society was to actually help, gay people to reconcile with their Christian faith. And we also help other people from other faith communities. We help gay Muslims in the northern part of Nigeria where, people can be killed because of their sexuality. But of course, on from 2006, when we started in Nigeria, we didn't start, the church to be quite political. We started the church in Nigeria so that people can find a place that they can call home, a place where we can actually exercise an inclusive gospel of Jesus Christ, where we can enjoy the ineffable love of God, just like the scripture says. Jesus said that love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and all thy mind, and love thy neighbor as thyself. This is the basis of our ministry in Nigeria. As somebody that comes from London to Nigeria, I found Nigeria completely a strange place. I experienced culture shock. I went from being someone that loved eating meat to a vegetarian over 2 years, and that was really hard. is because I could not eat the food in Nigeria. But of course, there are other things in Nigeria, like the social environment, that I just didn't understand. I couldn't socialize in Nigeria, but I was determined that the ministry was more important than my social life. But there are so many things as well. I met a lot of people. I met families. I met, religious leaders. I met people in the community that are also very brave as well. So it wasn't just a lone journey. But what I also find quite satisfying about my work is that we continue to help people. Even in London, we're helping people of African descent, Caribbean descent, in fact, people of all race, to work on their journey, to understand their sexuality and be able to reconcile. And I think these are the ethos of our Christian ministry, especially inclusive Christian ministry. And for me as an individual, I have learned a lot from other people, from other cultures. Part of my work today is actually, to take part, at the United Nations Universal Periodic Review, responding back to governments and state governments who are in violation of people's human rights on the grounds of sexual orientation and gender identity. I started this work in 2009, and every year I will go to the United Nations in Geneva at least 2 or 3 times a year to respond back from the NGO angle. And we have actually responded back to over 20 African countries, and we continue to do so. Unfortunately, to date, only one country in Africa has responded positively in embodying and bringing on the table how to deal and how to include protection for sexual minorities. It is an eyesore and it is a shame. But people of African descent in the UK are still also suffering in many ways. Not only are they suffering because of their sexual orientation, there's also issues of racism within the gay community. And we are looking for ways to move, to push this out. And I think to me it's very important and it's very key that we continue to be a voice in this time in season to help people, not just the gay people, but also to help those who are against us. Just to help to educate the gay community also in the United Kingdom is an important part of my work. And of course, it doesn't just end there. There are many people of African descent who also fall victim of the asylum system and immigration system. And part of our work as well is to actually help them, to assert their case and to also bring an amicable justice for them. So there are many times that we had to go to court to help people on their immigration cases. We've been largely successful, and thanks to the many works of other communities in this city as well. So there are so many things that we're doing, and I can carry on about them. But I think what is important is actually to help people live an honorable and decent life, just as they are. And as a Christian community, we provide a space that we do that. We pray, we praise, we sing, we dance, and we chat. We, of course, study the Bible, which is obviously a foundation book. And I think that for many people, it's very important that they understand that.